Good morning. Today, we want to talk about an important event coming up in June. Arts, culture, and creative economy continue to transform our communities by elevating our quality of life, generating economic growth, and creating job opportunities here in Iowa. That's why we're excited that the Iowa Arts Council and the Department of Cultural Affairs, with support from the National Endowment for the Arts and many statewide partners, will present the Iowa Arts Summit on June 6th right here in Des Moines. The summit will bring together community stakeholders, cultural leaders, and art professionals to discuss the impact of arts and culture in Iowa. It will be a terrific opportunity for Iowans to learn and share ideas about the intersection of arts and the economy, as well as discuss how to invest in rural and community development throughout our state. As everyone knows, effective education, improving quality of life, and increasing job growth are part of our administration's goals for Iowa. Arts and culture are essential to achieving these goals. The National Governors Association has identified that arts and culture provide the critical ingredients for innovative places, catalyze community revitalization, and deliver a better prepared workforce. We see all these things taking place in Iowa, and we're proud that the state continues to invest in arts and culture through the Iowa Arts Council and the Iowa Department of Cultural Affairs. I'm proud that my wife, First Lady Chris Branstad, will be on hand on June 6th to present the Governor's Arts Awards to deserving organizations, businesses, and individuals for their work and support for the arts in Iowa. Now I'd like to ask Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds to share some of her thoughts. Kim?
Well, good morning, and thank you, Governor Branstad. As Governor Branstad pointed out, the creative economy is a catalyst for generating economic growth and job opportunities for all Iowans. And that ties directly to the Governor's STEM Advisory Council of building a strong STEM pipeline that's really aligned with economic growth and opportunities for Iowans. The Council's commitment and the commitment of so many Iowans to ramping up STEM is making a difference, and we're seeing some positive results, whether it's the increased number of students that are participating in the programs or the higher scores in math and science from those students that participated in the first round, to building awareness. This is all nurturing curiosity and developing creativity and critical thinking through hands-on project-based learning, adding context to problem solving, kind of test driving the real world through internships and businesses with partners. But most importantly, all of this is leading to a growing conversation, not only in Iowa, but across the country, of the role of arts and music, reading in STEM or STEAM. And it's a conversation that we look forward to having and continuing as we travel across the state. Just as they are building blocks to student learning, the arts serve as a building block to our state's well-being, our quality of life, and our future. So that's why we're excited to be hosting the community stakeholders, cultural leaders, and arts professionals to address all of these important issues at the Iowa Arts Summit on June 6th. So now I'd like to bring to the podium Mary County to give you a little bit more details about the symposium.
Wonderful. Thank you, Governor Branstad and Lieutenant Governor Reynolds. Very pleased to be here today. And thank you all of us for joining. We have a lot of our board members and other community leaders that traveled here from across the state to join us. We're pleased to have you. We're very excited about the 2014 Iowa Arts Summit coming up June 6th, that's hosted by the Iowa Arts Council, which is under the umbrella of the Iowa Department of Cultural Affairs. Over the past 3 years, we've really been focusing on how to elevate arts, history, and culture in Iowa, because we know they are significant contributors to the education of our youth, the overall health of our creative economy, along with the overall quality of life here in Iowa, while helping Iowa communities maintain a competitive advantage for recruiting and retaining the best and the brightest. The Iowa Arts Summit will address many of these important areas of responsibility and impact while welcoming hundreds of cultural leaders, arts professionals, and community stakeholders from across Iowa, coming to Des Moines for an important day of learning, networking, and professional development. And we're especially excited, as the Governor and Lieutenant Governor mentioned, for the presentation of the Governor's Arts Awards by Iowa's First Lady, Mrs. Chris Branstad, which will serve as the day's culminating event. So we're very, very fortunate to have her attend on June 6th and represent the Governor's office. While the Iowa Arts Summit will bring together together leading regional and national voices in the arts, we're most excited that we'll be joined by community leaders from our own neck of the woods right here in Iowa. Leaders from Orange City and the Quad Cities, Mason City and Marshalltown, Council Bluffs and Dubuque, who will share their success stories and their insights into how they are actively and strategically investing in their communities through arts, history, and culture. These success stories, as well as the challenges that can accompany them, are part of a statewide conversation that began this past fall as we hosted the Cultural Caucuses, these regional conversations across the state, which is why we've been able to partner with a variety of organizations to help make the Iowa Arts Summit possible. Some of them include the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Assembly of State Arts Agencies, Arts Midwest, Americans for the Arts, as well as partners closer to home, such as the Iowa League of Cities, Iowa Destination Marketing Alliance, representing CVBs from across the state, Iowa Tourism Office, Iowa Alliance for Arts and Education, as well as Catch Des Moines, Bravo Greater Des Moines, and a statewide host committee with members representing more than a dozen Iowa communities. We thank these partners for their vested interest and their support, along with, as I mentioned earlier, several board members with us today. And we are thrilled to bring the Iowa Arts Summit to Iowa's capital, where arts, history, and culture are very alive and well in our capital city, thanks to the hard work of community and civic leaders, nonprofit cultural organizations, and scores of public-private partnerships that do so much for our communities and the overall character of our state. All of us here today have a vested interest in the health and vitality of Iowa's communities, so we invite all Iowans to take part and lend their voices in this day of dialogue on June 6th. For more information and to register, the day's sessions and events available at www.iowaartsummit.com. So once again, I'd like to offer especially a thank you to Governor Branstad and Lieutenant Governor Reynolds for their support of ensuring we have a strong and culturally vibrant Iowa, and they know how important it is as an economic driver, so thank you. And again, to all the cultural leaders who are with us here today. And at this time, I'd like to take any questions regarding the summit.
Is there any state money involved in the sponsorship?
Yes, there is a little bit of money. I'll get that exact number for you because it's going to be offset by the $45 fee that one must pay to attend. So it depends on how many final attendees we have, which is near about 150 right now. And so we'll be able to see if the plan was that it would balance out and be a wash so that we would break even.
Well, then I guess how much do you expect the cost to put on that?
I can get you those numbers, but it would be between 10 and 15,000 when all is said and done. Excuse me, simply because of when you look at rental fees and then you get into the labor costs. We're doing it at Vets Auditorium. Excuse me, there's a new name, but too long to say right now. So the rental fees, food, and as attendees go up, we may have to adjust in terms of spaces and setup. So we'll get all that information to you.
It's Community Choice Convention Center.
Thank you.
Veterans,
Thank you. Thank you. I knew he would know.
Yeah.
I've been there to a lot of events.
No, thank you. I'm glad you asked that question. This is actually something we're very proud of. We've really been working on getting to this moment for the past 3.5 years. We believe there was some sort of statewide summit probably 10 years ago. And so this is the first since I've been here, and one that we're very excited to continue to build a network and, again, really bring all these folks together to share their success stories and, more importantly, understand how we can better utilize all these cultural connections for resources. And, again, to be able to raise awareness and ensure everyone appreciates how arts, history, and culture really are a cornerstone for our quality of life. Right now, registered, we have nearly 150. And so we think we'll probably be in that range, probably around hopefully 200.
Do you hope to hold this biannually or annually?
We're going to see how this goes and then make a decision next year. But we'd like to, and thinking ahead, I'd love to be able to continue to do this because I think it is very mission rich for us in terms of being the one to convene all these organizations, given they're all under our umbrella.
Is that enough for anything else?
We have communicated with other states, as you heard. Some of the partners, such as Arts Midwest, And when you look at the National Association of State Art Agencies, it's a wonderful group that we're a part of, and we're able to learn from them and look at best practices, and it is something that is quite common in other states.
So what are you hoping to emerge from this better life?
And as I mentioned back in the fall when we held our cultural caucuses, it was a great opportunity to continue to lay the foundation, again, with all of the partners across the state. As I mentioned, it's not just, I think we can assume it's nonprofit organizations and the executive directors that lead those, but it's so much more when you look at the very strong volunteer effort that goes on behind these nonprofits, board members, but also we have to remember that we have an important job sector that's made up of individual artists, and again, the Lieutenant Governor touched on how many people are involved in that realm. And again, too, for instance, a partner like the League of Cities, we have to remember how important those community leaders are, mayors and city councilmen and women who are driving home the arts history and cultural economic activity that goes on in their communities that can spark economic development, and ultimately it gets back to how we're continuing to build an Iowa that can compete with 49 other businesses in terms of recruitment and retainment. When the governor and lieutenant governor and Director Durham are able to go out and try to get businesses and jobs, a big part and often a tiebreaker is if we have a culturally healthy state.
A good example, Lieutenant Governor and I had the honor of participating in the Tulip Festival Parade in Orange City on Saturday. It was a perfect day, huge crowd, and they attract a lot of people from South Dakota and Minnesota and other states as well. You had both TV stations from Sioux City were there, and this is a great example of where they've maintained their Dutch heritage. Some of you in Central Iowa have gone to Pella, but you need to go to Orange City also. It's a great, great Dutch community, and they've done a wonderful job, and they've got a lot of other wonderful features up there. So we just had a great time. Next Saturday, I'm going to be in Mason City for the North Iowa Band Festival. As you know, Meredith Wilson's hometown, they've maintained that tremendous history. As a kid, I went to the North Iowa Band Festival. I remember when we had a Lake Mills girl, Lisa Rasmussen was the queen of the North Iowa Band Festival. And when I was a representative, there was a girl from Ledyard that won that as well, Colleen Riley. So, you know.
We need to capture all of this at some point, right?
Well, I'm just telling you, there's a lot of wonderful things to do in Iowa, okay?
I wanted to say, too, the summit is a great way. You know, when we travel across the state, there's pockets of excellence happening all over the state. And sometimes you need to bring that together. So the summit is a great way to do that, and it's a catalyst to create synergy and really highlight the great things that are happening in the state of Iowa and really drive awareness to that. So I really want to commend Mary and the department for addressing this and holding the summit, because it's a great way to really show what's happening in the state of Iowa.
Governor, in retirement, George W. Bush will begin painting. If you ever worked or what might you do to give your art?
First of all, my stepmother is a great painter. She does watercolors. She lives in Mount Pleasant now, and but I can tell you that I do not have that kind of artistic ability. I don't. So I'm going to have to find something else. And maybe it's to be a professional fisherman or something like that.
My question was, how would you measure success? And measurable and quantifiable.
Well, obviously, in terms of just a obvious measurable would be simply attendees. But I think it's more important than that. I think, again, as we started with the regional cultural caucuses, and that is what informed the content at this upcoming summit, which is really important, that we're listening to the needs of this sector. What do they want to learn more of? And in terms of connecting those dots, building that network and utilizing others across the state for that synergy, those resources. But then also, how do we take action? What are the next steps to continue to ensure we can raise awareness so we know all Iowans see the value in arts, history, and culture, and again, building a culturally vibrant Iowa. And I think that hopefully some initiatives come out of this, that we are able to, as the department, work with the governor's office and the legislature to see what could actually come out of this if there are any big ideas to keep moving Iowa forward.
We have made no final decision on budget matters, but we are taking into consideration the long-term economic commitments that the state has made to education reform, to property tax relief, and we want to make sure that we have a budget that's sustainable for the long term. When I put my budget together, I use 5-year projections, and we want to make sure that it's sustainable, not just for 5 years, but really beyond that as well. And so we are carefully reviewing, and also it's a very complex matter because, as you may recall, they passed a bill that nobody saw until past midnight, the last night of the session for the House. And there's a lot of different items in that. The money is actually appropriated in one fiscal year, but they put a non-reversion clause so they would spend in another year, which basically misleads the public as to the level of spending. And I find that also to be something that we need to be very concerned about. One of the reasons why Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds and I ran was to get the state's financial house in order and to honestly give people the actual fiscal condition of the state, and so that people could compare apples to apples when it came to looking at spending.
I have a
Yes.
question about guns. Governor,
Guns? I don't have one.
Right.
Not on me.
Representative Baldwin, who's the chair of the Public
Yeah.
Safety Committee, says, since when you consider the situation with the fact that some people, that legislators and apparently state employees are exempt from this rule about carrying guns in, why shouldn't people who have concealed carry permits, who are members of the public, who have been authorized this, be able to exercise their Second Amendment rights as well to bring guns into the Capitol?
This is an administrative rule that predates this administration. This was a rule, as I understand it, that was passed after the 9/11 incident, and a lot of people were concerned about potential danger in public buildings. And the result was that, and it's an administrative rule that applies to the executive branch of government, so it doesn't apply to the legislature, and it was specifically to try to prevent somebody that meant harm to the state of Iowa or to our Capitol building from coming here with a gun or an explosive or something like that. So that's the context in which this was approved. And obviously there's a legislative rules review committee that has the opportunity to review these rules, and it may be appropriate for them to take another look at this. I can tell you that they also put a metal detector at the carriage house at Terrace Hill. When I became governor again, I said, we don't need that. And we eliminated it because I felt safe, and I didn't want the public that comes to visit Terrace Hill to feel that they had to go through a metal detector.
But the question of weapons in state buildings shows up in another place, and that's the employee handbook, state employee handbook. And it says there shouldn't be dangerous weapons in state buildings. Is that something that you think needs to be stressed more among state employees? And I believe that also just applies.
Right. I think that's right. It applies only to the executive branch of state government.
And so do you think that needs any attention, needs to be brought to the
Well-
attention of employees, or
Well, we want people to be safe. And I'm also very proud of the job that public safety does in protecting us here at the Capitol. I think we have very dedicated and quality people in public safety. I think they do a good job of protecting our safety and well-being, so I feel very safe. And I think the public and employees should feel safe.
Governor, last week, the governor of Illinois was calling the Iowa legislature to change your mind on building a high-speed rail from Chicago to Omaha. What has to change in order for you to opt for that?
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I really think he missed the point. We ought to be working together to keep the renewable fuel standard from being cut, because that will hurt Illinois and Iowa and cost us jobs and hurt our farmers and hurt the environment. the issue on the train is another matter that the Iowa DOT is carefully studying and reviewing. But I think the renewable fuel standard is much more important, and I stress that. And I believe that they may have missed the most important issue affecting both the environment and the economy in Iowa by not focusing on the renewable fuel standard. The EPA is talking about cutting that, and that will dramatically reduce income for farmers, could cost significant jobs in ethanol and biodiesel manufacturing, could prevent the next generation of renewable fuels that we have through cellulosic ethanol plants under construction in Iowa. And that is an immediate concern and priority of mine. And I think the governor of Illinois, of course, Illinois is usually not on the right side of most things anyway, when you think about it. And look at Illinois. Here's a state where they have the worst unfunded pension system in the nation. They have the most debt per capita, state and local debt per capita. They're $6 billion behind in paying their bills to local governments, and they're just made their tax increase of 3 years ago. They're going to make it permanent. So I'm not sure that the governor of Illinois is the person we ought to take advice from. Most of their former governors are in prison.
Is there anything that would change that calculus?
Well,
Sport for rail system?
we will base our decisions based on data and facts that are presented by the Iowa Department of Transportation.
I just have one question. A lot of insurance professionals coming into Des
Yep.
Moines tomorrow for the next couple of days for this symposium. What kind of significant things do you think they should be discussing as far as that industry, and what your take on bringing all these folks into town to look at our insurance?
Great question, and I actually approached the insurance regulator in India when I was there last year about coming, and he is coming to this. We also have leaders from India and Germany, as well as many national leaders. What's important is for these international people to know the tremendous benefit of the state-regulated insurance industry that we have in America compared to the disaster they have in Europe. And the disaster in Europe has caused things like Aviva to be sold and many other bad things to happen because it's a bank-controlled and managed regulatory system. We have a state insurance regulatory system that is run by state insurance commissioners. We have one of the finest ones, Nick Gerhard, and he is hosting this, and I'm really proud that the state of Iowa is hosting this very significant event, and we've had significant international insurance investments here in Iowa. I think we'll see more of them as a result of it, and I want them to really learn about how good, honest, and effective our state-regulated insurance system is in America and how Iowa leads the way. Des Moines is the capital of insurance in America, and we're proud of that, and we're proud to bring them here and show all the exciting things that are happening in our capital city and in our state. Thank you.
I had one question for you. The Chronicle of Higher Education reported this weekend that Sally Mason was the 5th highest paid college president last year. Is her compensation appropriate?
That is a decision that's made by the State Board of Regents. So it's not appropriate, I don't think, for me to comment on that. I think the Regents sets the salaries for each of the university presidents. Thank you.